I wanted to introduce our presenter today, Jake Shack. He's going to be discussing how to prioritize, or how Hoag Hospital prioritizes patient safety during construction. As I just mentioned, Jake works at Hoag Hospital in Newport Beach, California, and he's been there about 3 years. He's the Senior Facilities Development Program Manager, and his responsibilities include overseeing strategic outpatient developments, facility mods, and process improvements. Jake has a civil engineering degree from Cal State Fullerton and an MBA from USC. Has a wife, Maddie, and an adorable 7-month-old little baby girl, Layla. So Jake, congrats for that. And tell us how you address patient safety at Hoag.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate that introduction. Thank you guys for all being here. I mean, patient safety, that's the number one thing that we're doing for healthcare. And it's just everything that we do is for the patients. But how do we keep patients safe while we're doing healthcare construction? That's prioritizing patient safety is what we're here to talk about today. If I can get my monitor to work. So a little background on Hoag. Hoag has 3 million square feet, 2 acute care hospitals. One's right here in Newport Beach, one's here in Irvine, 16 urgent care centers, and 11 health centers. So this is kind of a heat map of where we're located, pretty close to the Pacific Ocean, all Southern California, Orange County based. So Hoag has a pretty extensive list of what we have either completed in the last quarter. These are our last 7 projects. I'll dive into a couple of them to show you guys what, as Craig said, my title's pretty long. We give out fancy titles. We build beautiful health centers. This is what we have currently in progress, and then this is what we're working on in planning. So a couple more health centers, relocating some of our admin. Ultimately, land's expensive over here, so how do we get people out of our health centers and especially our admin into an admin center? This is the location that we just finished right outside the gates of Dove Canyon, South Orange County. This is an urgent care that we just built. So you can see pretty high-end finishes, beautiful lobby, pretty warm when you walk in. The cabinet or the front reception desk is cut out to emulate the mountains that are behind you. So we design to our local environments. But once again, this was an easy build from a patient standpoint because it's on a standalone location. So not too many processes to follow, just city regulations, making sure that we're clean on the outside. But as we dive into more of what we're doing, California has some major seismic compliance issues, and so we have to comply by 2030. So this is our location in Newport Beach. The ocean, as reference, is just on the other side of this road. So the green is what is currently compliant. So everything else in yellow, we have to make compliant by 2030. We have another 6 years to finalize all this work. This is a 200+ bed West Tower, and within our West Tower, we have to do some seismic retrofits. There's 50 locations where we have to strap some steel above the rooms. That's working between 2 existing patient rooms. So prioritizing patient safety, that's in our mind, but at the same time, that's going to be some pretty loud work. So we are constantly having to do studies, having to work with our patients, very high-end clientele. Our patients are our #1 priority when it comes to patient safety. So this is the extent of the work that we have to do. We have to do some channels to protect the precast. That's each one of these red lines. Then we have to fiber wrap the 3rd floor panels for strengthening, and then shotcrete the 1st floor and 2nd floor for strengthening. Sorry, here in California, we also have some very strict Title 24 rules, so that's why my light just went out. If I don't move enough for 5 minutes, it likes to turn off. So California, in Orange County, there's 6,000 beds. 3,000 of those beds are incompliant. So we're either going to have a massive inundation of beds that are going to be needed come 2030, or all those hospitals are going to have to work around their existing patients, and we're going to have to figure out ways to kind of work together to not burden the other organizations. So here's another view of the hospital, kind of breaks down where those 233 beds are. Floor by floor, you can see acute rehab, CCU, ICU, overflow, some med surg, pulmonary oncology, telemetry, and our sub ICU. And then on the bottom, we have our 14 ORs, SPD pharmacy, and our main ORs and PACU. So pretty important building for the hospital. So here's us going through. You can see our IOR standing on a ladder, inspecting everything that we're working on. We're laser scanning for the existing rebar. Just kind of some of our infection prevention, which we'll get into. How can Kahua help with our ICRAs, our PICRAs, everything else that we have to do, interlife safety measures? How can Kahua help with those documentation? So here we're working on some templates, temporary placement of the templates, working through where the existing rebar is, placing some epoxy and some bolts, and then drilling the 18 holes. Here we're really testing to see how much noise are we making, how much impact is this to the patients. There's over 50 locations that we have to do this in, so let's practice one. We were estimating that it was going to take 5 minutes or five days. We ended up able to get the majority of the noise and work completed within 3. So just how's that going to impact our patients? Here we did a noise study above and below. So you can see that we're at about 70 decibels when we're doing the work. The WHO recommends that we be between 30 to 35. So it's equivalent to roughly a police whistle. The drilling, it's intermittent, so it was 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off for each hole. Lasted roughly 40 minutes. But again, it's focusing on that patient safety. In this picture, just you can see how close we are to the water. So imagine the patients that we're working around. You never know who's who. Here's another project that we're currently working on. It's our NICU expansion. So some of our most vulnerable patients are the babies. And we're expanding. We kicked out some admin space, moved them over to a building 10 miles away inland so that we can have this critical location. And now we're expanding our NICU, trying to gain 11 private NICU rooms, 3 NICU bays, a family lounge. So working next to the babies, again, it's very important to focus on that patient safety. They're up 24/7. There's no sleeping for them. Here's some of our outpatient projects. So in Newport Beach, half a mile from the hospital, we have 250,000 square feet. And in one of those buildings, we have an imaging center that kind of wraps around over here, but we want to put a pain and spine procedure center. So working again around patients, our main line for the sewer is going to be right through this lobby. So when I tie in this sink, I'm going to have to go straight to the sewer and monitor, tie in, create infection control barriers, monitor the barriers, and how are we, if we're just working off paperwork, it's a process. Our Hoag Endoscopy Center. So they're currently down here in the bottom right corner. They're expanding across the hall. So we're going to build them 2 GI centers and an OR, 11 pre and post-op bays. So fun projects. Again, it's speed to market. So how can we lease this space out as fast as possible? How can we build the construction as fast as possible? Get through the city. If we're just working off old pen and paper, it's a slower process. And again, Kahua is here as a resource for us. Hoag Irvine, so I'm going to go back to this slide in a second, but we're building new parking structure, new health, HSF, healthcare supporting facility. This is going to be a part of our admin, and then you've got expansion to the hospital. So here's where we currently are. these are our existing buildings today. So you can see all this red, logistics loading East Pavilion, kind of back here. All that's new for our organization in construction in some phase. So this is our big development right now that we're working on. But once again, like our main entrance is right here. So we had to shut down the main entrance to our north campus to begin construction over here. We've got construction here, here, and here right now. So here's a main thoroughfare, and we had to shut it down. This was 3 weeks ago. Fire trucks and ambulances now come in and around to the back. So it's a logistics nightmare, but working together as a successful team. So here's some pictures of what it currently looks like graded, or getting graded and demoed. That's the back of house patient building or patient wing right here. This is standing from the back corner of the parking structure. So you can see shorings up, digging deeper pits, keep going. Feed the field. Emergency department, so you can see just how much construction is going on the main streets. Getting in the ambulance drop off, like we're limited on parking now. But keeping it alive is critical. Front entry to the hospital. So this was the main front entry. So once again, these are all patient rooms that we're working around, working near, trying to keep our patients happy, focusing on their safety. Inside the atrium, back to the pit from the other parking. So where we were looking at, kind of where the ambulance drop off was, looking at that pit, that's the pit on the side. We were standing on this parking structure. Now we're on a different parking structure looking down at the other side. So all around the hospital right now, we're doing construction. This is 10-story medical office building. So being able to get those patients safely into the building. So back to kind of that prioritizing patient safety. So what are our lists and forms that we use? We have the pre-construction risk assessment, the ICRA, the hot work permit, alternate life safety measures evaluation, penetration permit, weakened work permit, utility interruption, fire watch, and confined spaces. Those are our main permits that we're working with. And I know Kahua, over the last couple months, has been working with us to create a faster way for hospital organizations to be able to track all these documents and get them filled out faster. It's all speed to market. So how are you able to build those projects out faster? How are you able to make sure that they're all filled out correctly and get working on your projects to get that project completed faster? Yes, it's all about patient safety, but finishing that project faster may also save that one life.
Yeah, Hoag was really the foundation for the documentation that helped us to in order to build our healthcare compliance suite. So absolutely, the apps that you have listed right here, absolutely, we're driven by Hoag.
So diving into what those documents looked like for us before. So again, this was let's fill it out sheet by sheet. So here's a date requested. That date's going to be the same on all the sheets. Who's the project manager? Again, it's going to be the same on all the sheets. Project number, project name, all the contact information, date, time, durations. It's very repetitive to have someone just continually fill out each sheet every time. And so working with Kahua, we're able to expedite that process, create drop downs. It's repetitive which contractors we use. We all use the same 10, 15, 20. Subs might be a little bit different, but for the most part, it's all the same. Our contact people are usually the same. Contact number doesn't change too often. It's very repetitive what we do. We have those relationships for a reason. But this is our pre-construction risk assessment form. This is going to be our infection control risk assessment. So where are we working is kind of this first one. Class A, the classes is what type of work are we going to be doing? How much dust is there? What is that patient load factor on are there going to be any airborne debris? What's the risk factor for that safety? And then based on that, you end up in the different classes. So either class 1 is execute the work, just protect the environment around you. Try not to create dust. Where class 4 is going to be seal all holes, don't allow that dust to become airborne and transfer. Negative pressure. Where are your walk-in, walk-off mats? Do you have a vestibule? Negative air pressure. So again, nothing wants to become airborne. Lastly, here's our hot work permit. So again, it's critical in our alternate life safety measures, but critical for that patient safety. And how do we protect how do we protect the patients? How do we protect our assets as the hospitals themselves?
Jake, what do you think's been the biggest help to now that that's been, because as you said, these are the forms and now they've been digitized, as it were. What's been the biggest benefit that you've gotten out of that?
The biggest benefits we've had is it's that speed to execution. And it's how much time can we save getting that project started a couple days earlier? How much faster can we get these documents filled out? And it's the time that it takes someone to sit there and fill it out. And usually we don't have assistants. So I may not have the time to fill this out for 2 days, or I'm working a 10 to 12 hour shift just to get my documents filled out so I can start construction.
Yep.
But if it only takes us 10, 15 minutes, because it's pretty repetitive, the information that we're dumping into here, we can get these documents executed a lot faster. And then it's sent through a signature system, and it's signed a lot faster than I was able to get it done just manually through emails or through Adobe Sign. And it allows me to get my project started a couple days earlier. And I think that's the most valuable piece right there, is it's getting the documents filled out to get the project started sooner. And I'm not having to work that extra hour and a half to 2 hours just to get all my documents filled out.
Has adoption been pretty good for you, Jake?
Yeah, it's very simple. So once it's implemented into Kahua and you guys start filling out the data, it's going to know who your key vendors are. It's almost like Excel where it just starts to populate the data, but it's pretty simple on how to fill it out. It's pretty self-explanatory. It will know, and then it carries over that contractor company from form to form.
Yep.
So really, you're just filling out that first form once.
Awesome. We're coming up on 5 minutes left. Yeah, if you have any questions, and Dominga, I assume you're helping to monitor this as to if there are any questions for Jake and the massive amount of construction that they have going on all over Irvine, et cetera. Obviously we're open to taking those at this time. Anything else to add, Jake, or as we?
And if anyone in here wants to reach out to me direct, feel free to reach out to me through LinkedIn. I'm a helping hand. So if there's anything that Hoag can offer you guys as help for forms or processes that we might use, feel free to reach out to me as well. How we utilize Kahua, I'm more than happy to jump on a meeting with you guys, see what we can do to improve your processes.